Welcome to Bay of Blood. Who's happy to be in Bay of Blood? Alright. Excellent. Alright. I'm your host, Brian. Welcome to the Friday the 13th Part 2 panel. You're all been waiting for that. We have five, as you know, five very special guests, very rare guests from Friday 2 that are joining us. And we can't wait to introduce them. So, let's start it off. We'll do, starting with Marta Kober in the role of Sandra. And who would Marta be without Bill Randolph as Jeff? A man with a truck himself. And let's follow it up with Lauren Marie Taylor as Vicky. Beautiful. And the man with the plan, the counselor of counselors, Mr. Paul Holt, John Fury. Last but not least, the guy with the bag over his head, the killer himself, Jason Voorhees, Steve Dash.
Where's the bag?
Don't laugh, I can't get up here.
There are stairs over there, Steve.
Oh, God.
I got it.
Yeah. Perfect. Okay. Welcome to an extremely rare Friday the 13th 2 panel. Super happy to have all of these guests. Where to start? Obviously, it's 35th anniversary, 35 years since it all went down. How's it feel? We'll talk about reflections in the movie. What I'd like to do is just chat about the film for a while, ask some questions, and then throw it out to the audience. There's a lot of people here who obviously have questions for these guys, and we'll give you some audience Q&A and just be able to shut out the questions. That's fine. I guess I'd like to go and take it all the way back to when you first started doing this, when was the movie shot?
81.
It was shot in 1981.
Was it 81?
It was released in 1981.
It wasn't 81.
That was on 83.
No.
No, 83 I was married.
Yeah, it's
It was way before. It was 79.
No,
No, I
it was
crushed
1980.
1980.
I guess it really has been a long time.
It was filmed in 80, but
It was filmed in 80 and it came out in 81.
This is where we ask the question and the fans answer over the people. There we go. So we're in agreement. It was filmed in 1980. Very good. All right. So now everyone, this was coming off of Friday the 13th Part 1, which is obviously a huge deal. Was this a big film? Was Friday 2 a big sequel at the time, or was this just something that was just, how aware were you of Friday the 13th or the success it may or may not have had at the time? Anyone can talk at any time.
I wasn't too aware of it at all, actually. When I first read for this thing, I was, I didn't know anything about Friday the 13th. And I met Steve. And
The
then
director.
And then there's Steve Miner.
Steve Miner, the director.
And then I subsequently met him again in Los Angeles. And he suggested, because I'd never seen a horror movie, and he said, why don't we go see the Texas Chainsaw Massacre? So we saw it in Los Angeles together.
In the theater.
At a theater,
Wow,
yeah, at a
awesome.
theater. Yeah. And I'd never seen one before. And I thought it was pretty cool.
That's a hell of a movie to start off, not
I know.
watching a horror movie.
Yeah.
I know.
You just went from zero to the best thing ever made, so
Yeah,
that's
yeah.
pretty good.
So, I did it. I signed on. I said, yeah, sure. Let's do it.
Good.
And that's how I kind of got started doing it.
And
And
had you ever counseled before?
Have you ever counseled?
Brian Matthews counseled, and now he's counseling in real life, so maybe you did too.
No, I think I was in the Boy Scouts for about 3 days. But
That works.
then I think I might have wet my bed and went home. I don't remember.
Some things never change.
And the rest of you were, how aware were you of it?
I was really into psycho movies and things like that. But when we got cast, what they did is they had us sit in this really small screening room and watch the original Friday the 13th. And all I could think of was, because it was before Kevin Bacon was Kevin Bacon, and all I could think was, oh my God, they're going to kill us for real.
You were actually afraid they were going to kill you for real.
Yeah, I thought it was a snuff film.
How old were you at the time?
How old were you? Yeah.
I was young.
Now, snuff films were all the rage then, but I don't
Yes, they
think you had to. The movie Snuff, as a matter of fact, was probably 1978 or something. So
Was it really?
That's
maybe your
probably why
concerns
I
were
thought of
valid.
that. Yeah.
Is that true? You're kidding, right? You really thought it was you were going to be killed for real?
I'm not kidding. I was paranoid. I lived in New York City. Everybody was ready to kill you.
But you were an actress.
Yeah, but
Did you
you could be-
understand
But
the
I was from the Bronx. Everybody dies in the Bronx. You know, you get killed, you get stabbed. Look what happened to me in the
You
Bronx.
understand the whole concept, the acting concept.
No,
Well, let's-
no.
And what about Jeff and Sandra? Where were you?
I was 16.
Yeah, you were pretty young.
Yeah, I was really young. I think I had just turned like 15 or 16.
Wow.
I believe it's unemancipated, but they sold it to Paramount for $1 billion.
And it's amazing to
Yeah,
start a film.
yeah.
At 16, you're starting it with Friday 2. That's pretty
Yeah,
fantastic.
I have
considering
to
your
have
feature
worked
film
quite a
career.
bit
That's
because of the movie.
Good. And Bill?
I was just walking down the street,
Yeah.
and some woman comes out of this office, and she says, "Hey, come on up, read for this thing." And I went upstairs. I didn't even know who this woman was.
Is this
Are you
true?
serious?
I get that all the time.
He was selling drugs on the street corner.
He was on a
I
casting
was the one that was
couch.
selling the drugs, and she came out, and she bought a little something from me. She said, "By the way, come on up, we're casting a film." So I said, "What is a film?"
I never would have been in this movie, except I was in New York for something else. I don't even remember. I was doing something else, and someone said, "I have an appointment for you to go read for Friday the 13th," because I lived in Los Angeles since 1979. And I said, "Yeah, sure, it was an audition, but I never would have had the audition. I never would have been in the movie had I not gone to that first audition, which actually I went to this is true, I think it was in one of those books, Camp Crystal Lake. I went to this audition on Friday the 13th, and I was born on Friday the 13th.
Well, that was meant to be, without a doubt. Without a doubt. And that is why there's such a controversy.
Kismet.
That's a true story.
That's why there's such a controversy around the character of Paul Holt and maybe his we have
Yeah, the
musical
fact
cues
that
for
he's never-
things. Yeah.
What was that musical
Paul
cue?
Hogan never died.
Did Paul die? Did he not die? Maybe that's a question because as fans, how many fans have seen something to do with Paul Holt in a death pose or something, right? That's a kind of a famous picture. But nothing ever happened to him in the movie, and at the end of the movie, what happens to your character?
I don't know. What you
It
see.
wasn't something that they filmed and got cut on the floor.
No, it was what you see in the movie is what they shot. There wasn't alternate endings. I know people thought there were alternate endings and different ways that the movie could have ended. But what you see is what was scripted and what was shot. There weren't other things that were maybe
Yeah.
going to happen.
Not a lot of those.
So you don't really know if Jason killed me or not.
So Steve Miner never wrote you to die in the film. That wasn't originally in the script or anything. And
No.
maybe Steve, you could shed some light on that as well. Did you ever have instructions
Well,
to kill Paul?
I was actually, at the time that this was being filmed, the Screen Actors Guild was on strike.
Okay.
And I was home, I was living in Brooklyn, and I got a call from Cliff Cudney, who was the stunt coordinator. And he said, "What are you doing?" And I said, "Looking for work, but I can't find anything because the Screen Actors Guild was on strike." So he said, "Listen, I'm up here in Connecticut, I'm doing a film called Jason," because the original working title was Jason.
For Friday 2.
It wasn't Friday 2, it was Jason. That was the working title. And he said, "We're doing this," he says, "and you're the right size. They want to fire this guy that's playing the role of Jason. They want to get rid of this guy because he can't do his stunts." He said, "You want to come to Connecticut?" I said, "Yeah, I'm on the way." I didn't have any money. I was broke. Screen Actors Guild had been on strike for about 4 months. And I borrowed $50 from my brother-in-law. And I got gas money and drove up to Connecticut. And I walked into the production office, and Steve Miner, the director, Dennis Murphy, the producer, were at the table. Cliff marches me in there, and they look at me, and they said, "He looks like he's the right size." They said, "Get him over the wardrobe, see if he fits the costume," because they already shot some stuff with Warrington, who was Jason.
So your
And they wanted
your
to match
costume
it.
was kind of like a rags to slightly better rags story.
Yeah, they just wanted, that was it.
Rags to slightly better rags.
That's
kind of
right.
story.
Rags
No,
to
because
riches.
now it's a whole different story. Now he's got hundreds of dollars in the bank.
Thousands,
Yeah,
thousands. And that's, they looked at me and they said, oh, he's the right size, take him to a wardrobe, and they gave me the costume, and I came back, and they said, it fits, it's great. They said, how about the shoes?
Oh, yeah, that's the
I
most
said, the
important
shoes don't
part.
fit, they're a little small. They said, if you can't get the shoes on, we can't shoot it, because we were shooting shoes for a week.
That's true, we're just walking around.
So I squeezed my foot in there, because I needed the job.
Certainly
then
your
they
feet
said-
could have been stunt doubled. I can't imagine that you had, that amazing of boots or something.
I did it. And then they said, get the bag, and I said to Cliff, what is he talking about, the bag?
Well, that's
He
a
said,
very
you got a
interesting
bag
thing.
over here.
That's right, yeah.
I said, a bag over my, I mean, I'm playing Jason, and I got a bag over my, so I got the lead role in the film. I said, okay, let me see the script. He says, you got no lines. I said, what do you mean I got no lines? He says, all you're doing is killing kids that are having sex. I said, really? You mean there's a bag over my head? He said, what do you mean? Explain this to me about the bag. I said, because I don't know.
Kids are having
He said, well,
sex,
there's
and I
one
got a bag
eye.
over my head.
There's one eye, and that's, so I got a lead role in the film with a bag over my head, and I got no lines.
And then you said, I want two eyes, and I said, no, there's one.
He said, what?
Just deal with one eye. Yeah.
So I said, okay, I'll take the job.
Well, it's an interesting point. Is the wardrobe for Jason is really, it's very
So,
toned down, simple, and that's an unusual thing for this killer to have a bag over his head. Now, I was told the explanation for it was that if this character was actually living and growing up and everything in this woods and in this environment, and he was deformed or whatever, that would be the most practical way of covering himself and having this one eye to see.
Where the fuck have you been living? Really?
What is that?
Not only that, but does anybody remember, the last shot in Friday the 13th where the kid, jumps out of the water and he looks like, totally deformed?
Looks deformed, right.
Yeah.
So they're picking up that story, but it's like, I mean, the setting for Friday the 13th too is how many years later? We're not really quite
6 months
sure.
later.
6 months later. Is it 6 months?
I don't
I
know.
don't think so. It's supposed to be an ambiguous number, but we didn't really know what happened because the first film ended where Jason was almost portrayed as a ghost or something coming out of the water and everything, and there was no even real person attached. And then the sequel comes along where this grown person is going around and killing this. It's almost as if Friday the 13th 2 could have started as its own film altogether without that title. I think the title probably made it a lot of money based on the sequel, but I think it could have been a
no
standalone
question,
film.
it got the financing, it got the whole thing, it got a bigger budget. I think part one was like $800,000. I mean, I don't know my figures exactly, but I think part two was like 2.3 million.
Based on the success, they jacked up the legend huge. Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. But I
But
mean,
the kind
that's
of the interesting thing about part two was that, for me, it was, I had never starred in a movie before, and, what?
No, that,
Oh, and when they did it, and it started, it made like, in the first weekend, it made like, $8 million back then or something
way better
like
than
that.
its budget, of course.
Yeah, and I got like, one day I got like a basket of flowers from Paramount or something, a little thing, and it said, congratulations, you're the star of the biggest grossing movie in America.
Marta, did you
That's
get a basket of
kind
flowers?
of cool, that's
I
kind of
got-
heavy
I got
stuff,
one
but
in
you
the
don't
basket.
really
I think
think
I
about
got
that,
a coffin.
You got a coffin of flowers.
Yeah, a coffin of flowers, no way.
That's pretty cool. So they gave you a basket of
No,
flowers.
but that's kind of cool because you don't really think about it
Did
in
you
those
get
terms, like someone actually, it was the biggest grossing movie in the country for like 2 weekends or something,
Yeah,
Then I think it faded a little bit, but I think it ended up making like $27 million.
Well, then it became a
And out of that
franchise film.
$27 million, I think I got about 2,000.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I was gonna tell you, they should do.
Yeah, over
I-
35 years.
No, they do have deferment where they pay you later.
Whether it makes money or not,
Yeah,
right? Yeah, exactly. So you
the
could move
Slumber
on.
Party Massacre, they did it where they stopped
Slumber Party
filming.
Massacre.
Yeah,
Did
there's,
they say anything to you guys about SAG being on strike at the time? I mean, were you in
Yeah,
SAG?
We were on strike before
Yeah,
that.
Oh.
It was over. The strike was actually over.
No, the strike, what happened was, no, that's wrong, because I'll tell you, because they agreed to pay
Yes,
whatever
SAG was
SAG
on
agreed to later, and they let them continue filming.
The only reason why I know SAG was not on strike
Yes,
while
SAG
we
was
were
on strike.
not while we were filming the movie, and the only reason why I know why is because right before we were doing the movie, SAG was on strike, and because they were on strike, I took a job as a cheerleader for the Cosmos soccer team.
Oh, my sister was a cheerleader for the Cosmos.
Okay, and I
Now
was
I
even
have
on
to
the
know, like, my
calendar.
sister's like
And I
5
looked
years
all
younger
nice.
than me, so I wonder.
Yeah, she was probably on the same as me. But we were not on strike for that, because I know my manager at the time would not
I
allow me to
digress.
do
I
that.
want to get back to what you care
All
about.
right, so let's go back. So let's.
By the way, what I wanted to say is the reason why you don't hear anything about his character is because his character in the following movies became Jason.
Really? So Paul Holt became
That's my
Jason.
theory, that's my theory.
So he.
They were on
That's
strike.
what happened to him.
Became
That's right.
Jason. Okay,
No,
good,
they
good,
were
good.
on strike, and they did it on deferment, Slumber Party Massacre 2 deferment. And they stopped filming for like 7 months. And you got paid for the whole thing.
Oh, right, that's
When
a
they
force
picked it
majeure.
up. Yeah.
That's not bad. Well, that's
Yeah, I
perfect.
got paid for like a year
Wow.
That's not bad at all. So let's take it.
How
to
many
where-
people here would like to get paid for not working?
That's great.
It's unanimous. Look
Be
at
a
that.
teacher and you have your summers off and you get paid.
That's not
Single little
bad.
mouse.
So let's take it to the movie gets shot. You're doing it. The biggest question, what was it like? What was the experience like? What was working with? Everyone has their different favorite characters. They all have their different people that we liked in the film. And I think every fan does too. I mean, we got your character, Lauren. Is Vicky. I think it made every guy want to be in a wheelchair for a little bit, even if they're not. So there you go. The affection that Vicky shows towards
because
Tom
it's a
McBride.
cheerleader,
Yeah, and unfortunately, Tom has been not with us for quite some time, sadly, because
Tom died?
it's probably 20 years. Yeah, 20 years. Yeah, long time
And he
ago.
died at what
Yeah,
age?
20 years,
Yeah.
amazing.
Yeah, it was a long time ago, but he did,
One in the wheelchair.
That's right, yeah. But he did a wonderful, wonderful role before he did
I
that.
happened to go to the screening with Tom.
Really?
Tom
Okay,
and
cool.
my mother, who happened to just be deceased in
Okay.
2015. And yeah, it's unbelievable.
So you saw the premiere with Tom?
Yeah,
That's
with
awesome.
Tom.
That's
I
really
went to
cool.
the screening with Tom.
And how was your experience with Tom McBride? I wanted to just mention him because I really liked his role in the movie. He had one of the best deaths, I think, in the whole franchise. Everyone remembers
Yeah,
it. It's very
That was
iconic.
I get that question a lot. They say, what was your favorite kill? And I say, down the wheelchair, in the wheelchair,
Yeah.
down the stairs, backwards. That's the
That's
best stunt. And there was so much time put into that stunt.
Maybe
Let's talk about that.
I don't know what
actually.
Lauren,
Maybe
I talked to Tom one time, and I don't know what Lauren has to say, but he was a really sweet guy, and he had never really acted. He said to me, he said, I'm not really an actor, I don't really know how to do this. He was very insecure.
But he had the perfect look for it. He had a perfect actor look. He's a good-looking guy.
He's a very good-looking
He looks
guy,
like he could have walked
yeah.
into any agency.
Well, I'm gonna look at Bill.
Yeah, it was great looking.
Oh, no, Bill!
What's that?
Nobody wears an engineer's hat like Bill.
I can only say that because Bill is very good looking, and he is very
Yeah,
good
Russell
looking.
Son was great looking. And
Yeah, he was a good
you just call the number and walk right into their
That's
house.
right.
I think he's in Hawaii at a bus stop.
Oh, no doubt about it.
So it's-
We're talking Russell Todd. But now, I mean, now that death, that's an interesting, obviously fans love to hear. I mean, Friday the 13th Part 2 is essentially, it's, people love the kills. And that's interesting to go behind the scenes of those things. So tell us a little bit about that death and your involvement in it, or what you saw. Or if anyone is on set for these types of things, let me know.
Well, that stunt was done with, the stuntman that doubled him was the guy by the name of Tony Ferrantino. Tony Ferrantino was actually in the wheelchair. I don't know if anybody ever heard James Ferrantino.
Oh, man, oh yeah.
That's
James
Tony-
Ferrantino acted in a film called Dead and Buried.
Right.
And then he played the sheriff, and that's a fantastic movie directed by the director of Return of the Living Dead. Help me out, fans. Dan O'Bannon, and directed Dead and Buried with James Ferrantino.
Who was
So there
that?
we go.
Dan
Dan O'Bannon.
Tony Ferrantino was his brother, and he was a stunt guy. He was in our, the Professional Stuntmen's Association, which we were in, and he did the stunt. That stunt took about, I'm going to say, a week to prepare before we put the weights in the bottom of the wheelchair, set up the bar alongside the staircase so we could run down the
Is that
bar
what it did?
backwards. And I got to tell you, Tony was terrified when
Yeah.
we did it because we only had one shot to do it.
Yeah.
And not only that, but we did it in the rain. There was
That
a
was my
guy.
my question, how many takes was it, and it's difficult circumstances?
It was
did you
one
have a rain
take.
machine going?
We did it in one take. And they were very cheap about it. Paramount was cheap. They didn't want to spend any money. They didn't want to spend a lot of money, so they said, you gotta get it in one take and all that bullshit.
And that's one of the things about the franchise is that as it goes along, the
It's
less
cheaper.
they know that these things are making so much money, and the production value almost suffers because people wanted these deaths, but obviously the makeup department pretty much got cut out of every Friday franchise. It was just a quick death, but you know, Friday 2 has a couple of visceral deaths that everybody liked to have seen, and that wheelchair one was one of them.
Yeah, and part of that was also taking the time to make the latex, the mold. You know, I think you guys had molds made of your bodies, different body parts. They made molds of our body parts, and Tom had to get a full head and face
Tony.
mold.
It was Tony that wore it.
Yeah, it was
Not Tom.
right.
It was Tony.
And Tom sat for that, so they
No,
put that.
Tony had it done.
They put that on. Tony, okay, we're having a different memory.
I know, well, I don't know, I was a
Experience.
stunt guy. I was there when we were doing it, so I don't know.
So somebody got in the mold. Now what I really liked was the huge difference between the two deaths, between your death and the pair of you. Now your death is extremely stylized, I think, because there's just nothing, there's no blood, no anything. It's Jason's hand. It's just this tracking shot, and you're in pain, and you just didn't want to. Well, you're scared. You don't want to take that extra step to try to run away. You're just like,
Which
I
was
can't
really
move.
dumb of my
So,
character. I mean, I could have just stepped over there and I would have been fine. I would have been still alive.
That seems like an interesting shot to talk about.
Their death was awesome.
Yeah.
You have to admit. That was awesome.
That was awesome.
That was
So you
the
got-
shish kebab.
Yeah. Bill and Marta being scared together. So talk about that. So what did you two have to do for that scene?
Well,
How did
she
it
got
go?
up.
Easy.
Yeah, they put me on the gurney and they slid me in and out, well, in and out, in and out, in and out from underneath them.
And that's what was so
Yeah,
exciting.
But,
I was under the bed.
In and out,
Very
in
excited.
and out, in and out. In and out, in and out.
That should have been the title.
yeah.
So how many takes did it do to spear the
Two
two of you
takes,
together?
two takes for the
Okay.
spear.
All right.
That's because they did 2 latex molds of my back.
Okay.
And I was on my knees the whole time while, you know, Marta was having coffee.
Yeah, I'm trying
And-
to slow down, yeah.
And,
Breathe a little
you know,
bit.
while they were attaching, you know, the back to my
I think you
neck.
say a lot of uhs too, yeah.
Oh,
I have to do,
The voiceover after the fact.
Yeah, the voiceover, you had to do the
Yeah.
pornography voiceover,
yeah.
yeah.
And then they cut it.
Interesting, yeah.
That's always fun if it never makes you know. That's a good one, but it didn't even show very much. It
She was
showed
going
you
in and out,
spear.
in and out.
I got a very deep voice, so I thought maybe.
That's good. That's good. All the other deaths in the movie, we had Russell Todd, who was hung upside down and then, you know, had his throat slit. We had,
With the machete
With the
backwards,
machete.
if you look at the scene.
It was.
They used the wrong side of the machete when they cut
Yeah.
it.
Now, was that your hand doing that, or did you not do
No,
that?
it wasn't.
I'll tell you again, it made $1 billion, nobody really cared, right?
Yeah. Well, they cared enough to show the blood in that scene, so Russell Todd got a pretty painful death, and then, and Kristen Baker was off camera, I think, for Kristen.
Kirsten. I think it was K-I-R.
Yeah,
It is
it was
Kirsten, yeah, Kirsten.
What kind of a host is this guy?
Yeah, it's funny.
People, I ask you.
I'm sorry, I've only seen the movie 500 times.
Yes,
Oh, I'm kidding
speaking
you,
of the
Brian.
strike, they say that you had to, you got your SAG card
Yeah, that's
by taking the top off. So if I got unclothed, I got to be Screen Actors Guild, which meant you got $1,300.
Oh, they didn't tell me that.
Oh, wait. That's
I thought I was getting my SAG card because I was an actor.
That's not, we're getting 50 for the whole weekend, but I don't really know.
It's because you could wear an engineer's hat and a tank top and get away with it. So tell us about that. I mean, you two show up at the camp, you're driving this big truck, Stu Charno
Oh, I
pranks
got a
you.
good story about that.
Because we really love Stu Charno as fans, don't we? Everybody. Yeah,
Not his dad? Stu Charno's dad?
No.
No, it's like State Farm.
We all love him as fans. We love Stu Charno.
State Farm commercials. They're really nice.
And Stu is.
Where is Stu? Anybody, has he come to one of these lately?
We had reached out to Stu. He's not able to go.
He really is in a mental institution.
No, he's not. Stu's fine.
He is not.
Stu is totally fine. We chatted with Stu. He's perfectly fine. He just couldn't make
Maybe
the
I'm the one
show.
he's talking about.
He
yeah.
should be in a mental institution.
They got a very big window.
So tell us about your truck thing, let's do
So anyway, the truck, they originally had this truck that was actually bigger than the truck that we used in
With
the
a very
film.
big window somewhere
It
in
was-
Tampa, yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
And,
yeah.
you know, the wheels were larger. It was just a much bigger truck, which of course they delivered to the set on the back of a flatbed. And then they got it off the flatbed and they couldn't get it started. And somebody in the black truck that we did use in the film happened to be driving by. And everybody's yelling and screaming at this guy. And they paid him a couple of $100 and we used his truck instead.
And Cliff's company
So,
drove.
and of course, the thing that's really amazing about that story is the fact that there would be two huge trucks like that out in Kent,
Small.
Connecticut.
So this film was shot in Connecticut then?
Yeah.
Yeah, it was shot in a beautiful town, Kent, Connecticut. It's a
Okay,
beautiful
because you were
town.
grad, you went from upstate New York, or New Jersey, I should say, which is the Friday 13th, and then you went down to Connecticut for another thing. I mean, summer camp's a summer camp, but,
Yeah, Crystal Lake,
that's-
Santa Cruz.
but, I mean, the New Jersey area, you got super
And we
famous
really
for
lived in
camping
these
stuff.
camp cabins too.
That's right.
We all
So,
lived in
yeah,
these
that's the
camp
thing, you
cabins.
actually stayed in the environment. As
It was like a
actors, you
real-
didn't have to go to a hotel every night, they were putting you up in the cabin, in the...
No, exactly. We didn't
Putting
want
us
to.
up in
We
the cabin.
never wanted to go to a really nice hotel
No, never.
and have room service and get a beautiful bathroom. We wanted shitty cabins. That's what we all
Yeah.
wanted.
Yeah, sleepaway camp.
So it worked out beautifully. It worked out beautifully.
You said you're from Canada, they did part 3 in Bellingham.
I couldn't have done this character without
It was one of
that
those
background.
ones. Yeah, they did it in a camp, the same thing. Part 3 they did it in a camp in Bellingham, Washington, which is right on the border of Canada. You like
So they got-
step out, there you are.
And there you are, and that's where you stay. And as actors, that has to help for your character to be put in the environment and never leave the environment. Therefore, you're, you know, if you're a method actor, whatever you're doing, you're just thinking that.
Not
way.
actually the showering and sleeping part of
No,
it.
maybe not.
And maybe we're back on the pornographic voiceovers.
Possible.
Yeah.
Now
In and out,
with Paul Holt, he had scenes with you two guys. Whenever you two came back, Bill and Jeff and Sandra came back to the camp,
Yeah.
and then you were with Jack Marks as well because he bussed you all, right? And-
Right, Jack was the cop.
That's
Right.
Jack was the cop. And it's funny because I like that scene with you two when you're defending him, and I really think that Jack had one of the best moments in most of the Friday franchises where he had more of a stunt than almost anybody, having to run through the woods so many times. He finds Jason's house, and then he goes and gets, what did he get?
Hammer to the back of the
Axe?
I think they did
Back
it
the
hammer to the back of the head, right?
right?
So, and did you have anything to do with the hammer because you were in the shot, right?
Yeah, they scared us one
I'm
night.
sorry?
That's what I remember.
I wasn't listening.
Were you in Jack Marks' head?
I don't know, I was wondering about the
Is that
Q&A.
what you're
Well, no, we'll get to that.
What's the question?
In Jack Marks' death, did you have anything
Who's
to do with
Jack Marks?
the cop?
He was the
Oh, what
cop.
about
With the hammer to the head.
I wasn't there.
Didn't do it. So you were only the Jason whenever they actually had the bag head, and you and Paul fight, right? At the end of the movie, you and Paul are the ones who are fighting in the room.
Paul and I had a very choreographed, 2 times we had a choreographed fight scene. We had one fight scene in where I tried to spear him and miss and hit the cabinet. We had a fight scene there when Chief Evans says, somebody's in this fucking room. We had that fight scene which we choreographed, and I gotta say, I'm a stunt guy, John was great. John was great. We did
Yeah,
a couple of
they do.
rehearsals, he was great. Then we had the other fight scene in Jason's lair, and he was great in that scene too. We had good chemistry
I'm
working.
just great.
He was good.
Great stunt.
It was good chemistry. He was nice
He's
to
also very
touch.
modest.
No, I remember that they
Wow,
scared
Jason
that
was
part.
gay. Did you know Jason was gay? Anybody? That's, a lot of people don't know that. Jason was gay.
And now we've taken the Francis in a whole different direction. So, what I'd like to do now,
John the Counsel.
I was waiting for the story. What's the
Okay, let's
story
tell the
about
story. What
Jason?
is it?
Yeah.
What story?
what story?
They came up on us. I'm in the cabin with
Oh,
Warren,
God.
Marie Taylor, and somebody really scared me.
Yeah, you know, you talk about a couple of city
Yes,
girls
I
up in the
wish.
country in Kent, Connecticut, and we're in these cabins that are very rustic, you know, sleepaway camp, typical. And these clowns decided that in the dark, with no lights, they would start scraping their nails on the outside of the screens, causing us to pass out, scream, and various other things that young girls do when you're in a sleepaway camp in the dark filming a horror movie where you think everybody actually gets killed.
There you
So I know
go.
I promptly, I was laid out. I remember that because I remember waking up and being on my back. So I promptly passed out. Yeah.
Well, I think
Very
that's got to
frightening.
imagine that that would add to the whole atmosphere of everything, and I think that's probably appropriate. You're scaring each other during your Friday the
Yeah,
13th.
maybe they can bring us
Yeah.
back up to film.
Yeah, absolutely. So I'd like to turn this over to fans. Anyone who has any questions for Friday the 13th 2, I think just raise your hand, stand out, and just shout it out. I'm sure you're pretty sure they hear you.
Come on, I've been fighting for you.
All this way for Friday the 13th 2.
Don't hit me with it, 'cause
All right, let's go.
What? No, go ahead. You go ahead, sir.
Rather,
What do you want to know about Paul Hope? Go ahead.
What do you want to know about Steve Dick? Go ahead.
alright, yeah. Rather than just all the questions that everyone's going to ask about certain things about the film, like what are your best experiences looking back? Like when you look back now and think about those times, and what each one of your best experience, like what do you think about when you think about Friday 2?
Friday, when I got paid.
Basically, what's the best experience that
I
you've ever
swear
been
to God, that was the best freaking day of the week, Friday. When I got that check from Paramount, I said, oh my God. I'm gonna make this much money again?
I believe they went down the rapids. It's really strange because they stayed in such cheap housing. We lived in a log cabin. We went down the rapids. And we spent a weekend up in Connecticut, and I live on the other coast many, many years, and it just was a really nice time.
Cool.
So I remember.
You guys?
I really enjoyed hanging out with the crew. You know, they had such a wealth of experience, and they were really helpful with us. And also, a lot of us were, we were young. A lot of us, it was our first movie, and the crew was just a great group of guys and gals who really helped us through the process. It was awesome.
And that's the thing with Friday the 13th. A lot of you are, it's a first-time film. A lot of people have the privilege of starting their careers in a great franchise, and, it's possibly might have been the first feature film that you had done. Yourself, Bill?
I thought breakfast was great.
Yeah, breakfast and pay, it seems
The
to be
thing that happened, because we would work all night, and then everybody would, go to breakfast at the same time.
And now that Sam was on strike, you got paid.
And Paul?
And the thing was that everybody would bring, their own libation. So everybody had, kind of their favorite bottles or whatever. And so breakfast was the time to party. That was our dinner. And it was great to just be with these people that you enjoyed and worked with, and to be able to have a good breakfast and party and then sleep all day
Yeah, we had a really, really good time.
and start all over again.
For me, I remember, I worked a lot. It seemed like I was working a lot, almost as much as Amy, but not quite. But I was always sort of tired, because we inverted day to night. We were always working nights and sleeping in the days. So I was always, trying to sleep, and I felt like I was working and sleeping, and then I would go into the city and stuff. But I agree with Lauren. I really got along with the crew, and I liked everybody in the cast, but I didn't work with them all the time, so I was doing other things. But mostly I was just, I was tired. But it's funny, as I look back in retrospect, it's sort of a very nostalgic time for me. Because like I said earlier, it's the first time I ever did start in a movie, and it was sort of a big deal, but I didn't think of it like that then. I was sort of thinking like, I need to get some sleep because I'm tired all the time. Maybe we just wrapped, the sun's coming up, stuff like that, But it was it was a great experience, I think. Does that answer your question?
Yeah, that's
That's
excellent.
great,
That's
that's
excellent.
great.
All right,
Yeah,
anyone else?
memory.
Next one? Yes.
Friday the 13th always gets a bad rap with the Motion Picture Association and its rating. Is there anything about your death that was filmed gorier that didn't make it into the film due to keeping it down?
Yeah,
Well, yeah, ours,
They could have the
we actually,
stats.
we spent the time and the effort to actually get a spear through us.
Yeah, I think
in
they cut the
film.
sets out for
And
real,
then
that's what I remember.
And not only did they cut the sets, but they cut the spear too.
Yeah.
You don't see the spear until it's through the bed underneath and we're already
I
dead.
believe that it's uncut now, was put
But
back
they
in
did-
it.
they
Now that's
did-
probably, it's 13, R13 or something.
The uncut,
Yeah,
the uncut maybe might have
Wait a
it. I
second,
don't even
you
think
guys
the
are having
uncut.
sex, you're obviously having
Yeah,
sex.
this is,
What
they're
did
telling
they
you
cut
this
out?
is
You did a lot
before.
more?
Yeah,
or
they're,
something?
I
they're
don't
so
know what
old.
they did.
This is
It was a dolly shot that started at the end of the head that went all the way up. And then when they did the spear, you actually saw it go into my back and see blood come out of my back.
Oh, spurt out.
Yeah, but I think
And that was
PG-13, they put it back in and they put the uncut version and they put it out.
I don't think even today, even an uncut version of Friday 2 doesn't show that shot. So
Yeah.
that's been
Yeah, they
cut.
just cut
And
it
back
out.
then, that's cutting the 35 millimeter film, literally dropping it on the floor. So it's not, if that gets thrown
Yeah, I'm
away,
telling
can't
you,
restore it.
you got a card.
Well, there's actually a scene that they cut out
This
when
was
John
like-
and I were having sex. Jason
I mean, to smoke in a movie or have a drink in a movie, that was it.
Just so you know, I gave him that material. I just gave him, I just handed that over to him right now, on the
I
spot.
had a lot of fun on the film because as a stunt guy, everything I did was action. Everything I did was action, and I got hurt quite a few times. So I went to the hospital a couple of times with ribs and cuts and shit.
With the mask or without the mask?
Without
I'm in
the
the back.
Without the bag. But the last time was the best scene, was the dead scene in the film. It was my favorite time on the film, to be honest with you.
With
Besides
Amy
Friday.
and the head and in the room.
Right, well, where Amy puts the machete and kills me, and I'm laying on the ground, we did the death scene, and I'm laying there, and Cliff Cudney looks over at me and says, "Good shot." He says, "Are you okay?" And I said, "Yeah, I got a good idea." He said, "What?" And I said, "Let's go to the hospital with the machete in my shoulder." He says, "Good idea, let's go."
That's right, and then you came back.
We got in the car, and I had to sit like this in the car because I had the machete through my shoulder. A couple of old ladies pulled up alongside, said, "Oh my God, look at that guy." But Cliff walked into the hospital. This is my third visit to the hospital because I've been there for stitches and stuff. And he walked in and they said, "You're back?" He said, "Yeah." He said, "But this time it's bad."
So
They
that's
said, "What's the matter?" He says, "I can't bring him in. I wanted to make sure nobody was in here."
I remember that machete too, that.
I noticed the
They had a dummy,
Yeah.
they had a machete, and
Yeah.
when we were doing it, we were about to do it. It was like a real machete, and I said to Steve, I go, "I'm not doing this." And Steve says something to me like, he goes, "Oh, that blade's dull, don't worry
Yeah,
about
right.
it." And then they got like a rubber one.
Well, they had a fake machete that they had, they put it in, you know, over the shoulder. But
Right.
I walk into the emergency room and everybody is stunned. And they're staring at me and I said, "Have you got anything? I got this terrible headache." And they all started to laugh, of course, and they all were taken, but that was one of my favorite times. The other time was when I got cut and I came back from the hospital and I showed up and you were all reading and I came into the tutu, remember that? I came up in the tutu, yeah, I came back from the hospital, everybody thought I was dead. Well, they obviously didn't give a shit because they were reading.
Yeah, and not only that, we were so used to seeing him in women's
Yeah,
clothes.
so
At that point, it was.
Well, that's after we knew about your affair.
Chris said, "Look, listen, they're all down because they know you got hurt and everything, because I just got stitches in my finger and everything." It was, a matter of fact, it was this finger.
Yeah.
That's the truth, there's a scar there, I got 13 stitches. And
You
he
know, I
said,
did that. I
"Let's..."
broke my finger playing basketball. And
I see that from here, as a matter of fact.
I did. I
That's
never
really
fixed
bad.
it, and that's my finger.
These are dimensions of Friday 2 I
I
never
always
knew
say when
about.
I give somebody the finger, I really give them the finger. Look at that. That's my finger.
That is bad, that is bad.
Maybe it was something
That's
like
perfect. All right, next question. I'll go right here.
I guess this question is actually for Lauren. So after a night of a full-force barrage of seduction, Vicky manages to get Mark Andrew's out. But she excuses herself.
voice over, so it said it.
Who the hell thought that Bill Cosby sweater and brown panties were sexy?
You didn't have to add anymore.
And here's the thing is, well.
Let's be honest, he wasn't gonna run away.
And the thing is that the people who know me know that for almost my entire life, I'm obsessed with underwear. I love beautiful panties.
Oh, God.
I've loved them since I was a teenager. I get new ones all the time, constantly. I have the prettiest underwear in the world.
No, we want to see it. Come on, no. No!
I wear boy afterwards, I just was like, I said, these aren't sexy. You expect me to look at these and think, oh, these are really getting him going in his wheelchair. And that's probably why in the movie you see me look at them kind of like this.
And you look disappointed.
I don't know whose they were. I think they went to Walmart or one of the local stores
What
to
was
pick
with the
them up.
deal with the spray?
And this oh, that, I don't know. I didn't have a UTI or anything like that, so I have no idea what the spray was about. Like, I guess it was before Summer's Eve.
I don't know what that was supposed to achieve.
No, but the sweater, the thing about the sweater, that was kind of a budget thing. They bought massive amounts of that ugly sweater, which by the way, I still have one of them. Massive amount, and the ugly cargo gray pants, massive amounts of those. So I think it was just budget, and they were cheap, and they were ugly.
Realistically,
Oh, and the V-neck was sexy, by the way, just so you know. Yeah.
what's the difference? What she's wearing and since what's underneath that counts for. There you go.
I love my underwears.
That's good. Excellent question. Very well. Very good. Anyone else with an underwear-related question?
No.
Those are all I'm accepting at this point. You at the back,
Oh,
sir.
yeah, I'll ask, I came in late, so I apologize.
Oh, that's cool.
But,
Did you bring a note?
Bastard.
You are
He's got Ellie Goulding on his shirt though.
yeah, I'm new school.
I can't
New
even
school,
believe
they
it.
buy her albums, they're good.
I almost just said, what's her name? Gaga.
Yeah, she's better but late, she's better late. Respect.
What's your question, sir?
Oh yeah, back to my question. Anyway, 3 major conspiracies in my life. JFK, 9/11, is Paul dead or alive? Major conspiracies. Are you dead or alive?
We covered that earlier, get the hell out.
When you were late.
Oh shit, we already covered that.
Covered that. And now you'll never know.
That's part of the conspiracy though, that's part of the conspiracy, right?
And it's still a conspiracy.
Yeah.
Anyone else with a question that's already been
Why was
answered?
I below JFK? I thought
I'll just say deceased. You have to say, you can't say dead or alive, you have to say deceased.
I'm interested in seeing all of these fans here today.
9/11.
9/11. Now, there's a lot of fans that came from a long way.
That's great, I'm gonna remember that
Sure.
question. 3 big conspiracies.
So these can answer it next time.
9/11, JFK, and whatever.
All right.
I'm sure most people feel the same way.
I'm in that boat, I'm the only one.
I'm gonna move on to question over here.
Okay, I've got one question, yes, this is directed towards Lauren. It's not even a Friday the 13th question, it's actually about a different movie that you've worked on.
Which one?
Neighbors.
Oh.
I really want to know truly, what was it like to work with the late John Belushi and Dan Aykroyd's 2 legends of comedy? I mean, you're one of the few that I could ask that worked with John before he passed away. And that's why I'm dying to know, what was it like to work with such a great comedian?
Okay, I'm not gonna lie, it was I call one of the best experiences of my life. He was an awesome human being, a very protective person. I was involved with an off-Broadway show at the same time. I was filming Neighbors, and they would come around the corner to the Cherry Lane Theater, pick me up, and take me out to go to concerts, Meatloaf, Adam Ant, way back when at the Palladium. And people were doing things that were, not really legal at the time, and probably still are not. But he made sure that was never a part of, me, and made sure no one offered it to me, and it was not done, like in my face. So in terms of that, he was a great human being. But they were also, Danny and John, they were just great people to work with. Danny was a loving, sweet guy. Took me to Dunkin' Donuts on a big birthday that I had that year, and we just ate 24 donuts each. It was great. It was just a great experience. I mean, I wish I could put it into words.
Was Belushi kind of like on all the time as a
He could be. When we were at his house, he had a brownstone on Barrow Street, and when we go to his house, he had a soundproof room in his house, and when we would go there and listen to music, he was very mellow listening to music, and we would listen to what is it called? Talking Heads, things like that. We would listen to music, and he was very cool and calm when listening to music. He'd be like, this is before headphones and things like that. He'd be like, listen to this, listen to this, listen to this, and he'd just rock back and forth, and it was just a great time, and he's well missed way before his time. And I see Danny sometimes, about once a year, I'll see him, and he's still, just gracious and big bear hug of a guy, and just we talk about the good old days, Martha's Vineyard, and, places like that, we went to back then, with John.
Yeah, I worked with Dan on Ghostbusters, great guy.
Mhm.
Had a
Yeah.
good time with him, he was really a cool guy. Cool guy.
What's Ghostbusters?
The original Ghostbusters, not two.
I love Dan Aykroyd. He's fantastic. The fact that you guys got to work with him, that's a good question, good response. That's good to hear. And he's Canadian. Dan
Yep.
Aykroyd is.
Swear
Yeah,
in.
there's something, huh? Chicago and Canada.
It's true. Good job. Anyone else? Friday question? Yes, sir.
I just have to ask, are any of you surprised that the legacy of Jason Voorhees and Friday the 13th just continues to keep going on? I mean, there's a new video game coming out where, the sackhead Jason is even in it, and it just keeps on going and going. I mean, there's comic books and there's more figures and this and that coming out. And
Yeah,
there's
intelligent
going to be a
video
new one
games,
coming
yeah.
out, I mean, are you surprised it just
Let me
keeps
tell
on
you
going?
something, I want to ask that question, I'll tell you why. Because I was offered three. Three. I was offered three. I just finished two. Got a job on Guiding Light with Kevin Bacon. In fact, I walked in the dressing room and he had the Friday the 13th poster. I said, I just finished that piece of shit. He said, really? I said, yeah, they did it in Kent, Connecticut. It was horrible, it was cold and everything. But I just worked on that, and then next thing you know, I get a phone call from my agent, and he said, they want you for three. I said, I'm not doing that shit.
Now, why were you turned off by Friday the 13th?
First of all, it was very low budget, as John said. It was a low budget film. And the producer, Lisa Barsing, was one of the producers with the money. And they were cheap about everything. They didn't want to pay, whatever. But I didn't have a great experience production-wise. Filming I did, but production-wise, I thought Paramount and Frank Mancuso, that was his first film, I think, wasn't it, John? They let him, his father let him?
Yeah, I believe so, yeah, I think
So he wanted to watch everything.
Frank Mancuso Jr.
Right, Junior. And it was tough from the production side, from the Paramount side. So I really didn't want to get involved with it. Had I known then what I know now with all the Jasons, I would have been another Robert Englund because I would have done all the Jasons. And I didn't. Well, I'm sure that I would have because I was a stunt guy and I could do all the stuff.
That's a very good point because that you're making, because as the horror franchise has developed, that was always the issue: is who is going to continue playing the bad
And the
guy.
reason that they used different Jasons was over money.
No doubt.
And, well, that's right, until they got to Kane, and then when they wanted to do another one, Kane wanted to do the next one. He wanted to be in the next one. And he said, I'll do it for whatever money. He didn't care. He just wanted to be Jason. See, Kane really believes he's Jason.
I've heard it. That's an interesting thing.
He did four.
Because as Friday the 13th, no, Kane Hodder started it in part seven. Because part 6 is C.J. Graham, part 7 is
Six,
Kane
I'm sorry,
Hodder.
7, yeah.
And
And
8
then,
and 9.
but Kane agreed to do it for less money. That's why they did 4. But then they got tired of him, and when Freddy versus Jason, they didn't want to use him. That guy
I
didn't
think
want to
like
use him.
Lauren said too, when we were all growing up, it was like a really time of like a couple of lines, a couple of drinks, a couple of movies. Everybody was really, really famous. It was that kind of, it was the way the world was at that time. So I think it's really almost like I said, fun memory.
Yeah, cool. Yeah, and that's interesting about people's recognition of the series as it's gone along, because this is obviously these films develop. It's a new phenomenon for this to be popular. 35. Well,
Yeah, I mean, a lot of
steadily
people
popular
even ask me,
35
do you have the
years.
costume? If I would have known that the costume would have been worth what it was worth, I would have kept it, but I didn't want to take any of that shit.
Now these these movies develop, and I mean, through all these people, like some people here might not even have been born when Friday the 13th
And I hate to
was
say,
filmed.
you're seeing each other
So,
on the internet.
It's something where these things, the popularity of Friday the 13th only develops over time, right? Or all of these films that we've done, they develop over time. And then how aware was everybody, I guess was more your question, about when at one point in your careers did you start to realize that this film had a following, people enjoyed it? Because most actors, if I'm wrong, they do films and oftentimes forget about them and it never comes back in their life. But this is something that's constantly reoccurring.
No, as a matter of fact, about 2 years ago, maybe it was 3 years ago, my sister called me up and said, you were on the Tonight Show tonight. And I said, really? And they said, yeah, you were on that, the jaywalking segment they do?
Yes.
And they showed the cabin scene with Amy and I, when he puts, they superimposed this woman on the street. So Amy's not even in it, but I'm in it. And so my sister says, you were on the Tonight Show, and the next day I called the union, and to make a long story short, I got a nice big paycheck about it. About 4 years later, because Paramount tried to not pay for it. And then at one point, the Tonight Show says, we'll give you what a guest gets paid, which is like $900. And I said, no, that's no good. And, you know, and I ended up making a nice chunk of money.
Did you get to the final challenge?
Yeah.
No, what?
Because you know you're at the beginning of...
Yeah, and I didn't know that either. I mean, I had a fan
You're
come
super
one
right.
time. I had a fan come up to me one time and say, you know, oh, you know, you did this and this one, and the campfire scenes used and that one. I didn't know any of that stuff. And so I called my agent, and then I started getting residuals for all these other movies. And at one point, they had to back pay me. I mean, it's never been that much money, don't get me wrong. I mean, that Tonight Show thing was pretty lucrative, but they had to back pay me for like, you know, I don't know, but three years of Friday the 13th. Well, for the Tonight Show thing, I got about $4 grand. I got a check for about $4 grand. Which
So you're pretty much just watching TV and
I
suing.
sent my sister, my sister would watch it. I didn't even know
That's my
that.
face.
I sent her $200, so I sent my sister.
The same thing happened with me with, I got a call from the union. I didn't even know, but Terror in the Isles. They did a film called
They
Terror
did,
in the
yeah.
Isles. And I was in it, and I didn't know that they used it. And I got a residual check for about $6,000. Because
Yeah, I
they
just
used
called
it,
for
they didn't get my
foreign
permission.
royalties. I didn't get a chip. I've never gotten a chip on a credit card. Foreign royalties, they used to have a chip on any card. Yeah, no joke. I just thought I won my foreign royalties.
So that's the thing, everybody's collecting on this really tough, but not even aware of it, you're just seeing a clip and then they're giving you money, which is
Yeah,
interesting.
I
So
still
Lauren and Bill,
get paid 32 cents every time I get a check now.
that's good.
Yeah.
And I mean, do you get recognized as being Vicky, like that all this time later?
Well-
Or when did you become aware of your...
Well, I don't want to say when my kids were teenagers because, you know, their friends come to the house and they'll say, your mom kind of looks like, but it happened about 7 years ago at my current job where one of the other teachers came in and she's very proper. She goes, so, I was with my brother over the weekend. And I said, yeah. She goes, he's a big fan of horror movies. And I went, mm-hmm. She goes, I watched the credits, and it wasn't your name, because I go by my married name, of course, at work. And I said, mm-hmm. She goes, but it looked an awful like you. And I said, it was me. And she went, oh my God, oh my God. And she just went nuts. I had to sign, like, you know, one of my underwears for her brother. And parted with the brown ones. No, I'm just kidding.
Back to the underwear.
But yeah,
Signed a pair of
it was
underwear.
bizarre. But it was 1 degree of separation. It was the brother of someone that I work with. And she still comes out to me. She goes, did you know that you were on last night? And I said, no, I didn't. She goes, my brother called me and told me. So that's just one of those weird things that happens.
I'm somebody's brother. I'd love a pair of signed underwear.
Bill,
Do not match your dress.
in the celebrity guest contract, I promised to sign underwear of my own for you, so it's on the way.
I actually have 5 in my hotel room, even though I'm only here for a night.
Yeah,
That's excellent, so that's a great question.
but they just got matched.
No, they don't match.
It doesn't matter.
As
doesn't matter.
As
It's like
Marlon
Biggie
Brando
sweater,
says,
it doesn't matter.
it doesn't matter, it doesn't matter, it doesn't
Yeah,
matter.
it's regular.
It's like her Bill Cosby sweater and cargo pants, it doesn't matter, it's what we need. Okay, let's, I think we got time for like 2 more questions before we wrap it up, so anyone who's got a burning Friday the 13th 2 question. Yes, sir, Mr.
Jose, yeah.
Jose.
Hey, so what's the weirdest fan experience?
The weirdest?
Fan experience.
That's the good, so what's the
Weirdest
weirdest
what?
fan experience that you've ever had? Lauren kind of had one already, what's the rest of it?
This
This is the weirdest.
I went to see a dinner theater in Florida years ago. I went to a dinner theater to see a show. The guy that owned the dinner theater was, I didn't know that he was a friend of mine from New York, but he opened the play. So when they had, just before the show started, they made an announcement, they acknowledged everything, and he said, and we have in the audience Steve Dash, who played Jason in Friday the 13th, and everybody applauded. I was a little embarrassed. Well, when the first, after the first act, I went to the bathroom, and I was in the bathroom eating, and a guy came in the stall next to me, he says, can I have your autograph? And I said, you want it now? That was the weirdest experience.
Another
I
underwear.
get that all the time. How about Bill, was fans recognizing Bill?
You know, I'm trying to think, you know, nobody ever recognizes me, so.
But it's weird because you look very similar to the way you used to. Your face is
you look the
very
same.
similar.
Okay, it's kind of.
If I never saw you at all walking the street, I would feel, if you didn't have an engineer hat, I'd know it was you.
I did have one experience at a show, actually. You know, and of course you have all your pictures out there, and certainly, you know, this woman comes by and she's looking at the picture, she's looking up at me, she's looking at the picture, she's looking up at me, looking at the picture, and I finally said to her, "Who is that guy?" And she goes, "It's you!" Yes, that's why I'm here.
You said it's me, John Fury. Stupid idiot.
I'm Mr. Holt.
Excellent. All right, let's take one last question before we wrap it up. Who's got the best one of the three hands I see up
The
here?
little kid in the back. Go ahead, honey.
Okay, let's do it.
Go
Let's do
ahead,
it.
what
Little
do you
kid in the
got?
back.
If all of you could be in the next Jason movie, would you?
If all of you could be in the
Yeah,
next Friday the
sure.
13th film, would you
You
do it?
came in late, you missed it, get out.
That's a good question.
That's a good question. Yes,
That's a
I
really,
would.
that's a really good question.
I know,
No.
I'd say, I'm falling and I can't get up.
Yeah.
So only Bill's gonna be in it? You do it?
I'll do it, yeah, absolutely.
Would you like to see a Friday the 13th sequel starring all of these cast members?
Okay, this is the idea. You know, the new cast or whatever, you know, they go to a bar. And all of us, all of the ex-cast members, are in the bar either working as waiters or waitresses or bartenders or whatever, you know.
With spears through our bodies and knives in us.
Yeah, The Walking Dead. No, there's no punchline, just that's the way.
So it's something that the scene will be shot and
I
people
thought it
have
was
to
a great
recognize.
idea.
That's good.
No, we killed the new cast
I
member.
don't think he's gonna pitch that one, but that is.
I want to be Jason's grandfather. I want a bag over my head with gray hair. And I want two eyes.
And
As long as you wear a sack.
giving him advice about the business?
Yeah, that's it.
What sack to wear over his head? Use this one. It goes with your shoes.
Excellent,
Hey,
fantastic.
you guys are great here. Thanks for being here.
Thank you.
Really appreciate it. You know, I'm a little tight for money, so we want to give you a little extra money for doing this. I'm a little
Please,
looking outside.
please.
No, I'm kidding.
He's gonna charge you to get out the door.
That's the one thing, that's very gratifying after so many years, is that after all these years, and I've been to a lot of conventions and met thousands and thousands of fans, I am absolutely humbled by the fact that you people are who you are, and I gotta tell you, I retired from doing conventions 2.5 years ago, and I got so many requests that I couldn't do it, and I came back because of the fans.
Hey, you know what? If it wasn't for you, there wouldn't have been part 2, 3, 4, 5, until the end of time. I can't count that far.
Hard
Thanks.
as going. Ladies and gentlemen, the cast of Friday the 13th Part 2.